we're gonna run right. You know, we're hoping to be, just a little over an hour. So if you want to get up and get a cookie or turn in your ballot, or go to the bathroom, which is in the lobby down the hall, please do it at any time during the meeting. It's totally fine. There's no, we're not stopping and take a break. So couple housekeeping things, if you could turn off your cell phones, that would be great. And after each section, we'll have a question and answer. So think of your questions and we'll bring the mic over to you after each portion. I want to thank Elizabeth Dove of Park Academy and the parent volunteers who are here. Liz is the development director and has consistently loaned us this space and the AV equipment, and I just can't say enough to thank her. This is a great meeting space. We couldn't be here tonight, so I just wanted to acknowledge her. Our guest speaker is Assistant Fire Chief Kristen Hartman, and she also has her firefighters from Station 212 across the street. So I'm going to turn it over to her, our keynote speaker.
All right.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
All right. Well, I don't know how I'm gonna carry all this advance. Thank you for having us here tonight. My name's Christine Artman. I've been here for almost 3 years and previously retired from another city. And how many of you have ever had Station 212 or any of our crews respond to your home? So you know what a privilege it is for me to work for them. They're an amazing, amazing person. And I just wanted to start with that. I'm basically just going to give you the layout of Lake Oswego Fire Department and then invite the experts up to talk to you about what they do. We have 4 fire stations. We have out of the fire stations respond 3 fire engines and 1 ladder truck. That's the big one with the aerial ladder. It's about 100 feet. We also have a boat crew and a dive crew. And as you know, the dive team responds out of our South Shore Fire Station. All of our firefighters are paramedics, which means when they come to your home, you're getting the highest level of emergency care that you can from an emergency responder. And when they're not responding to calls, this department, something that I really love about it is that they're very passionate about training every day. We have a slower call volume, but they make up for it for training every day. And they're very committed to working with the community to train you and educate you and engage you and help you understand how to respond to your own emergencies and or disaster preparedness. Many of you have probably attended the Palisades classes that they're putting on first Saturday of every month, and you can go to the website if you're interested. Whoop, time's up. Okay, I'm gonna bring up our crew and our battalion. Where did Scott run away? Oh, he was hiding. Okay, we have Lieutenant Jeremy. Oh, you're getting a call? You're getting a call?
Nope,
No.
we're out of service, but I'm still listening to radio in case there's a fire or cardiac arrest close. We might leave if that's the case, but the low acuity calls, we're gonna be fine. Can you guys all hear me? Do I need a microphone?
No, yeah. I'm gonna introduce them and then I'm gonna give it
Go
over
ahead.
to you. No, this is Lieutenant Jeremy Langlaers. How many years have you been?
27 years.
27 years. We've got Roberto Villapando. If they go out on a boat call, Roberto's the deckhand, and he's also the one who's gonna do all the work. He's gonna jump off the engine and be the first to do the work, yeah. Yeah.
I like to say he carries me now because I'm old.
Yeah. We have driver engineer Matt Miller. Matt, just. Battalion Chief Scott Proctor, who's trying to hide, but is gonna come up. Rob's had a really pivotal role. The battalion chiefs are in charge of all 4 companies for their shift. There are 3 shifts, and Scott's the A shift battalion chief. If there's any multi-unit response, like a fire or a major car crash, he's the one that's calling the shots and creating a plan to mitigate whatever the incident is. So he'll be sitting in this fire SUV, doesn't look like he's doing much, but he's actually telling all of them and coordinating their efforts. It's a huge job, and it's the reason he won't roll his window down to talk to you if you go up there. Not even me, he just shakes his head. Busy.
Busy here.
All right. I'm gonna let them, they have some things planned, so I'm gonna let them take the stage.
Yep, so again, my name is Jeremy Lang, there's 27 years with the department. Right across the street, we have a beautiful fire engine that Matt gets to drive. We have the water rescue boat, which has saved lives. We have a crew that's going to a big engagement in Bend this year. They saved 3 kids on the Clackamas River in that boat that were surely going to drown. So it's a really big deal. They got a unit citation for it, was what it's called. And the lieutenant got a Medal of Valor, which I've never seen anybody get in our department. So it's a big deal. The boat saves lives. I'm happy to be on it. I've been on it for my whole career here, because when I was a firefighter, I started at South Shore Fire Station. And like Bird, I was a deckhand, and I was just kind of grandfathered into it. And then you have to apply to become a rescue boat operator, which Matt just finished his rescue boat operators DPSST certification. So he's a rescue boat operator. I'm a rescue boat operator. So it's a really big deal having that boat, and it works with the Clackamas County Consortium, which is Clackamas County Sheriffs, Walton Valley Fire and Rescue, Clackamas Fire, and some smaller departments as well. But we all work together on the waterways, Willamette River, Clackamas River, the lake. Maybe some more calls on the lake now. I don't know if you guys see. I don't know if you guys seen some of the pictures, but I got some good ones. Anyway, we're here tonight to talk about some training and learning opportunities that we've provided for the neighborhood association, and also the committee for the new fire station that we're trying to get passed through. We'll also talk about WUI, which is Wildland Urban Interface. So how can you protect your home if there's a wildland fire coming through? We have ways to make a defensible space. You guys can actually have the fire department come out and take an assessment of your home and kind of give you ideas of what you can do to make it a better place, or a safer place, or less, be able to take it to where you're less of a hazard around your house so it doesn't catch fire. And then we'll have a question and answer period for us if you guys have any questions. So the first Saturdays of each month, the department has been putting on classes. So I know I've seen some of you at some of the classes. We did a Stop the Bleed class. We did a hands-only CPR class. And so those are amazing classes that we put on for the public and the school kids. And what it does is it actually helps your neighborhood. It helps us. So if something happens in these neighborhoods or in the city, and you guys have this experience and knowledge, you can really save a life. Because when we get there, we take over and we can do advanced life support. But while you guys are doing like a hands-only CPR or stopping the bleed, you're keeping them alive so we can get to them and get them to better care. So we have, those are 2 of them. We have some coming up. We actually had one April 5th, which was wildfire prevention with hands-on extinguishers. Any of you guys did that? You did it?
Yep.
So
Great.
it's pretty cool. You can actually spray fire out with an extinguisher. So that's kind of cool. The next one is going to be May 3rd. I'm sorry, May and June. We're not having them on the first Saturday, but July 5th, we're having water safety. So that should be a good one. And then on August 2nd, we're having disaster readiness. We do ask that you sign up on your website. You guys have a great website. I'm in the Evergreen Neighborhood Association. I'm not part of the board, but I was years ago. Your guys' website is amazing. So I got on there today and kind of did some research, but you can sign up easily on your website. And that helps us because then we know how many mannequins to bring, how many extinguishers we need to have. So it helps us if you sign up. If you don't, you just come, that's fine too. We're gonna make room for you and teach you all we can. Talk about the wildland urban interface. So, wildfires, can they happen here? Of course, wildfires can happen in neighborhoods. Palisades neighborhood burned down in LA, right? Can that happen here? Yes, it can happen here. A few years ago, we had the fires over in Estacada. Some of you guys may have gotten alerts to level 3 evacuation. So as a firefighter, all my friends in the neighborhoods here, my brother-in-law actually lives in your neighborhood on Park Road here. He's calling me, he's like, what is that? I'm like, I think you're gonna be okay. Just turn on your sprinklers, which is the wrong answer. It's the wrong answer. The best thing to do is be prepared. It's kind of like the department does CERT classes. So if there's a major disaster, if you're more prepared for those or the ice storms, if you're more prepared, you can help your neighbors out, you can help yourselves out. It helps us dramatically because we're just going from call to call to call. And so sometimes it takes us a long time to get to it if there's a disaster like that. And in the wildland arena, if you have winds that are so fast, like the Palisades fire, you can't stop the fire. What you can do is you can try to help protect your house from catching fire. So what we have is we have people that will come out and give an assessment to your house. And I'm just going to go through the how to sign up. So basically, when you sign up, you go to the city of Lake Oswego's website. You go to the bottom of the website and you can pick on, there's departments, pick on the fire department. And then on our fire department personal website, you can click on wildfire risk prevention. And it actually gives you a bunch of information on how you can do this risk analysis and help like remove wood piles from around your house or brush. It gives you really good information. But on top of that, we are more than happy to come out and assess your house. And so within that wildfire risk prevention, when you click on that hyperlink, you can click on another one that says home assessment after that. And basically you just fill out the paperwork, you submit it to the fire department, and then somebody will get back to you and we will set up a day and a time. And usually it's just during weekdays and business hours. So it's either our fire prevention officers or a battalion chief. They'll come out and do an assessment. And we did a bunch of them last year. I don't know how many we did last year, but yeah, 60 or 70, but it's so it's pretty easy to sign up, and we're really good about getting back to you and setting a date and time and getting it figured out for you. You guys have any questions about the fire department or us?
I'm the mic. I'm the roaming mic. Here I come.
Yeah, my question is. My question is there any way we can help you get a bigger fire station?
Absolutely, absolutely. So the fire department has obviously done a lot of community outreach. You've seen it in the Hello LO. That's been on the news. And we're doing a bunch of outreach for the neighborhoods. Chief Hartman's doing an amazing job. She's leading the whole process. But the main thing you can do is when it comes to the ballot, please vote yes for a bond measure to build this fire department or fire station. So that would help out. I think there's one back here.
So, with the increase people on the lake, will the fire department increase their ability to take care of?
That's a great question. So we do run calls on the lake. We're really close to the lake, so like I said, we're close. Somebody calls 911, we come out and we help out. And I've been on injuries out there. I've been on boat fires out there. But you do have Lake Patrol out there, which is a very good resource. So Lake Corp is out there all the time. Now, with the public being allowed onto the lake now, the Lake Corp doesn't have any kind of jurisdictional enforcement. And so it's, I don't know if you guys have watched any of the city council meetings and all that. So it's a work in progress. I know the city's working hard with the Lake Corp and with the Oregon State Marine Board and Clackamas County Sheriffs. I actually am, I'm Lakewood Bay Community Club's president. And so that's the closest easement to the entrance of public, and we have a great diving board that's very inviting for people to come and use, but liability wise, you know, it's kind of tough for us, so we're very concerned about safety on the lake, because I was telling who was I talking to about the pictures? Maybe I was talking to Catherine about the pictures. I got some great pictures of just people in the middle of the lake, which is not really a paddleboard. There's so many rules on the lake for power boats and paddlers to mix, that's gonna have to be enforced. And the lake manager, I spoke with him the other day, and he said they're working hard with the Oregon State Marine Board and the other entities to try to make sure that it's safe for everyone to use, number one, and you know, that rules can be enforced somehow. So there's gonna be some kind of enforcement capability of either Lake Oswego Police or Clackamas County Sheriffs are out there now. Lake Oswego Police does not have a marine unit, but that's something that's been talked about. So.
Any more questions?
You think it might be helpful to, at least list some of the, responsibilities for people that are going on the lake?
Yeah, so yeah, the city's working, like I said, they're working hard. The city's working hard. They're gonna make park rules, you know, most likely only daylight hours. And all the things that you need to boat safely, you know, a life jacket, visible vest. And so it's gonna be a process, but hopefully it'll work out in the end.
We have a wonderful river.
Yeah. And it's kind of crazy out there too. Every once in a while, I'll walk down to George Rogers and I'll see swimmers, paddle boarders, kayakers, and then power boats running through with a tube behind it, and then you throw in jet skis.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy out there sometimes. I'm surprised we don't get more calls. I'm sure there's a lot of close calls, but we don't, yeah.
Anything else?
Thank you guys for having us. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you. So on September 3rd, 2024, the City Council unanimously passed Resolution 2438, creating an ad hoc committee task force to study rebuilding the South Shore Fire Station. So now we're gonna get to your question and present you with the findings. But your own Carrie Love was both a budget committee and Palisades Neighborhood Association representative, and her energy and critical thinking skills were instrumental in helping us, the task force, and Chair Chris Durkee, come up with this report. So I'd like to invite her.
Chris Durkee, also a member of the Palisades Neighborhood Association Board, or as a land use coordinator. My role for the task force was due to my involvement with the budgetary committee meeting, or for Lake Oswego. I just started my 4-year term, so I'm in my first year, so I'm going to my first budget cycle now. A lot to learn, but I'm going to be here with Chief going through this presentation, and we will be shuffling things back and forth since we have one mic.
All right, I started. Oh, thank you. Okay. So this is South Shore Fire Station, built in 1971. The task force came up with 8 key findings for the report, and I'm not gonna read all these slides to you. But basically, the most important one is that it's come to the end of its life. It's not seismically safe. The apparatus, the fire engine may be okay, may survive a earthquake because the bay, the aft-bay is seismically safe, but the dorms where they sleep are not. So, next steps.
So, thank you. So I had a lot to learn. I own a house in Palisades neighborhood. I had never been in the fire department before, or this fire station before, and I attended my first training, and I thought, wow. And I learned a lot about it. I learned that if you run the garbage disposal in the kitchen, it comes up in the bathroom. So that was interesting. I also learned that there was a group bathroom that, which makes it difficult for privacy. But another thing I learned was the HVAC sits on the roof that's flat and puddles water. And so the techs that come to work on this HVAC actually sometimes declines to work on the HVAC because they don't want to stand in standing water, which makes sense. And again, I wanted to mention that the bay is, seismic standard, has been upgraded, but the norms are not, and I'll let everybody fill in the blanks on that one. And so, let's see, I'm gonna cheat, and,
We need our next slide, I think, with the.
yeah, I
There
think
we go.
so. Oh, no, yeah, we do need, thanks, Chief, you're the best. So I also want to point out that where the equipment and the apparatus is held is a back-end only facility. So first of all, they don't have the privilege of driving through and parking nicely. But I want to show you there's about an inch between that piece of equipment and the wall. And I've been in that station now a couple of times, and I was really impressed because there's only like one ding. So only one person hit the wall. I mean, that's really impressive, guys. Okay.
Okay, so I don't think do I need this?
One of your two.
Okay.
Okay.
So we already talked about how we have 4 fire stations, and some years ago, there was question if we should just close down South Shore Station. That was completely debunked with this task force. So you'll see Station 210 is in the Westlake area, Station 214, the blue area, that's downtown. And then Station 211 is on Jean Road. And then the red area is Station 212. And if you go to the next slide, basically, we used to work, back in the day, we used to respond to calls within our fire management zone. So on the map, you saw those zones, and if it was in that zone, 214 would go. And if 214 was out on a call, yeah, I guess you might get another one, but they were going to be way out of place. Now we use AVL, which is called actual vehicle location. It's just GPS. You're going to get the closest resource to wherever you are. So if 212 happens to be shopping, you might get West Lynn responding to your house. And it's just a much better way of coverage and a quicker way to respond.
What's that? Okay, we'll pass it back and forth. Okay, we'll use it. Thank you. Okay, so, yeah, the forest station is necessary. The National Fire Protection Agency, the criteria is 8 minutes or less for the most serious calls. And our fire department responds 99.8% with all paramedics. So we have one firefighter that will go into paramedic school soon, but everybody that rides in our vehicles are paramedics, which allows for the first arriving paramedic to be in 8 minutes or less. So that's our National Fire Protection Agency criteria. And then Clackamas County, similar criteria. And again, 90%, they have to be there within 8 minutes. Now, something that's important for our whole community is that response time for the survival of cardiac arrest is 6.2 minutes. So bystanders, do CPR, please, because it allows more time for the first responders to get there. And this was something I learned, is that this 8 minutes is also really important with fires, because if the fire goes longer than 8 minutes, it increases 50% of damage. So these numbers that we keep talking about, this 8 minute, it's a huge mark for our fire department here in Oswego.
I just want to underline also that the 8 minute time standard is for the highest acuity calls. So your your cardiac arrest, your stroke, your breathing problems. If you've just fallen out of your chair, you need help getting back into bed or into the chair, that's not an 8-minute response. Maybe, could be, but.
Okay, so what we did is, the fire department put together the drive times. Yeah, here is the drive times for all of the stations, and if you look at the colors, the blue or the green is the most important, it's the 4 minutes or less mark, which is really impressive. Everybody with 4 stations, that is the coverage that you're getting in Lake Oswego Fire Department. And then as you get into the yellow or the orange, that's 6 minutes or less. And then down here, the red, that is 8 minutes or less. And I want to kind of just point to that southeast area because we're going to see some changes in that. If we take away station 212, so the next slide, if we take that away, you're going to see how drastically that changes our drive time, even just in our neighborhood ourselves, but also in that southeast area of the district.
So once we decided we needed a new station and 212 had to remain, we needed a South Shore Fire Station, we set to building the station and figuring out what we needed. We're gonna start with the apparatus bay because that's the most technical area of the fire station. They have drainage in the bottom, there's electric and HVAC in the top. The whole fire station for cancer reduction, practices, we want to set it up kind of like we would set up a hazardous materials incident. So this is the hot zone, everything that comes into the station from being outside, whether it's a medical call, highly contagious, or fire, carcinogenic materials on their turnouts. That's the hot zone. So they're gonna back in, and then they're gonna be able to go through negative pressure rooms to decon their gear, to wash off their SCBAs, to take a shower before they go into the living space. We literally, the task force built out what we need. And as Carrie mentioned, we want 3.5 bays. So we have room for the boat, room for the tow rig, room for the fire engine, and then an extra bay to house the fire truck if the Gene Road station goes down, because right now we have no other place to put it. And we could also put a move-up company there. We could up staff and put another fire engine there. If we have a disaster, we need more crews on duty. So there's a lot of ways we could use that extra space. So we came up with about 6,500 square feet. Next. Okay, and so then we go to the living quarters. We didn't really show you pictures of the warm zone, which is where we would be deconning and then moving through. But the living quarters is the cold zone. This is where the crews would live. And as you see right now, is this not the officer's room or is that just random? That's just random. Oh, it is yours. Okay, that is the officer's room in South Shore Station right now. You can't really see the walls, but we'll talk more about that later. Right now, we only have 4 bunk rooms. And if you do have questions, I saw you just itching your head. If you have questions, please feel free to interrupt me. We want to double that. We want to have 8, because again, if we're gonna up staff, if we need another crew there, if we put an EOC in the community room and electeds, or I need to come down and stay in the station, or the battalion chiefs need to relocate, just having those extra bunk rooms would help us respond in a more efficient manner. Private bathrooms. Can't believe I'm saying that in 2025, but, and then we're not breaking the bank here. We're trying to keep the kitchen and dining areas about the same. The day room, which is where they kind of train and just relax, that's about the same. Fitness room, somewhere in this report, Roberto is prominently featured, so if you find it, then you win a prize. The living quarters came up to about 5,800 square feet. Oh, and then finally, the public facing space. This I'm pretty excited about. It will be a separate entrance community room where fire crews can train, but also we can welcome our neighborhood community into the space, and there's room to train, it's comfortable, there are bathrooms, there's like just a separate vestibule to allow people to come in. There's so many uses for that space, and I know our neighborhood associations are so strong, especially this one, we just more opportunity to engage and better prepare our whole community for disasters. And we're looking at about 1,500 square feet for that. So the grand totals about 14,000 square feet.
Quick question.
Yes.
For comparison, how big is Jean Road Station square footage wise?
It's only about 55. And same with South Shore, it's 55 or 57, so they're quite a bit smaller.
And
So-
how about the other two?
210, the Westlake Station is slightly bigger because we have a drill tower and we have extra space. I want to say it's, do you remember, Scott, is it 8 or 10,000 square feet?
I think it's right there in the 8 to 9.
Yeah, and then 214, oh, maybe 214 is the same because we have the administration offices.
Yeah, real quick.
Yeah.
So right now, most of our stations are pretty small, so back in the late eighties, back in the late eighties, early nineties, city council back then realized to get to these response times, the city needed 2 more fire stations. They had one in Lake Grove, the old one that you've seen that's now in 12th and Valley, it's right across from Albertsons, just off of, or on Bryant there. And then we had one in downtown Lake Oswego where all the new buildings are. And so they knew to get to response times that we really need to keep up with national standards. They built 2 stations, and it's Melrose and G Road. Now that's a lot of money, right? So they didn't build them up to future. So this is a really good opportunity to build for the future. So build it big enough so we can add to it. If you go to Jean Road Station, when you drive that truck into the bay, there's an inch or 2 on each side of the mirrors. I drive that truck sometimes, I don't know if I should. But I'm a little concerned every time I drive in there. I wasn't gonna do anything, but, so this is a really great opportunity to build a state-of-the-art fire station in Lake Oswego. And having a community room where you guys can have a meeting there, like this meeting could be there. We do our teachings there. It's just a nice space to have a community as well, and having separate bathrooms for the community, like we do CERT trainings, and we've done it typically at 210s at Melrose. And so when people need to use the bathroom, they have to go into the firefighters' living quarters, which can be sometimes uncomfortable. So it's kind of it's a build out that's bigger to house more of our apparatus and give space. This winter, when we had the snow event and the ice event, we did not have enough bunk rooms because we upstaffed our brush rig to help run calls, either medical calls or whatnot. Because sometimes our engines can't get up a hill because they're not 4-wheel drive. So our brush rig or our tow rig for the boat is chained up 4-wheel drive. We can grab a patient and bring them down to the ambulance or the fire engine. So it's important to have these little bit bigger areas. It's important to, make room for the future. So I think that's important to add to this.
Very important. Thank you.
Yeah, can I bring this over? Who said that? Oh, I'll do you and then I'll do her.
Yeah, nice presentation. So I wonder, did you lose power when we lose power?
Yeah, they lost power, and also the our generator is not powerful enough to supply the whole station with power. So they weren't able to, they were working 24, 48, 72 hours in a row and not able to cook meals for themselves.
Yeah, so all the stations have generators. And so they typically kick on. When we had that ice storm 3 years ago, our generator didn't work, and we were lucky as hell because a generator tech, and I think Scott was on him, but he came out and fixed it that day. We were gone all day, but he got out there and fixed it. And to Chief Hartman's point, the generator doesn't run everything, so we can't, or the generator doesn't run our stove, it'll run a microwave, coffee machine.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask, thanks for that.
Yeah.
Detail.
Yeah.
What are you gonna do about that going forward? How does the design of the new fire station deal with resiliency, power outages? And how does it support the community when we lose power?
I need the microphone.
I'll take a stab at it.
First of all, the electrical system of the new station would be able to handle a much more powerful generator, so I think that we would hopefully solve that problem.
Hopefully.
Seriously?
It would solve
It will. I'm not a construction expert, so this is 1971 electrical system, so there's multiple confounding factors in why we don't have power. Yes, we will solve that problem.
Yeah.
I don't know what the solution is, we don't.
We haven't gotten there yet.
Entire community, the best thing you can do is know your neighbor. The strongest community resilience plan is to know your neighbor, know what everyone has, know how you can help each other. Because you're going to have to help each other until we can get to you.
I'm gonna take the mics back there.
Thank you. I just got a question about the open space, and I'm not against it at all, please, but I can't compare all of the open spaces in all the fire departments. I see so much open space in the library, with the new rec center that's being built, with all of these things. Do you think the community's gonna be that much open space to have meetings at?
You wanna go back a slide so we can show the allocated square footage for one more maybe? Oh, right there, 1,500 square feet. So, dedicated for, the community room. But I think also, I feel like Chief might have mentioned that this space is also for them to train. And they can train every day. And so I think it's gonna be not just like for communities like this meeting, but also for them to utilize themselves, correct?
And train the community with those Palisades, with your classes, we were doing hands-only CPR on a concrete floor next to a dripping, ceiling. So it's just a much more comfortable space to train in.
Yeah, I guess that's right here. The big system is full and everything else, nothing. I mean, I'm just saying, we've got to start being more smart about the spaces that we're building. Instead of letting them stand open. That's what happened with it when we built the schools in the city. Now we've got these big shells that nobody can use. Anyway, no, I'm not gonna negative, please, not. I live up here, I love the fire department. So I'm just saying we've got to be fiscally responsible with the money that we get.
Yes.
Anyway,
And I would say everybody on the task force took that very seriously. Okay, any other questions before we,
no, I'm quite agree with you.
anybody else before we go forward? Okay, let's go forward to the, yeah, so this is an interesting exercise for me, and I have to just give total kudos for Quinn with the city, who, helped with our task force, because they did a lot of work, coming up with a number of different potential sites for the station. So one of the questions we had to answer was, is it in the right spot? And, we took that very seriously, and we went out and, they brought back lots of information, and I, of course, being like a visionary, like, oh, there's gotta be the perfect spot. I had a perfect spot. There is not a perfect spot because you're in it. When it comes to the buildup in, Stafford and the increased, buildup in the southeast, really where the station is a great spot. So we did go through the process and we did narrow it down to 2 sites, and then ultimately, nothing improved the drive time. Again, that's like how they measure success as a fire department, and nothing did actually increase or improve the drive time. So what we found out is, although it may not be easy to rebuild in the location that it is in a really good spot. Oh, I'm gonna just, I know he's here, but I do want to draw attention to this photo. If you haven't been in the South Shore Fire Department, this is our workout room. And the only way you can use that Stairmaster is standing underneath the skylight. So And they're very active in that space, so we're bringing that up to just show that, a remodel isn't feasible. They've been band-aiding this station for a long time. And it isn't, feasible to go in and actually, lay out the needs, that they need to be great professionals. So we bring that up because that's like, of course, the worst case scenario, if you're not looking at the, garbage disposal coming up in your, drains. Is that we absolutely need more space and we need to remodel. And what does that mean?
So, like Carrie said, when city staff took, and the task force, looked at all of our options. And we do have a blank, vacant parcel right next to the fire station that is owned by the city. That will be used to expand the station. And what we really, I failed to mention before, the apparatus, the new apparatus floor would have the drive-through, so we wouldn't be backing in. Less disruption, traffic disruption on South Shore, and predominantly the most fire apparatus accidents or backing accidents, so we really just want to be able to drive through. We did have a couple on the task force that lived in that yellowish green block, and they actually said they were willing sellers, so they left the task force because they didn't want it to be a conflict of interest. So it's just outlined, I'm not sure, we don't know yet what city council's appetite for acquiring more land is, but it's another option. The task force explored it. And then the plot next to the vacant lot, that the water department owns that, and there are water reservoirs under the tennis court and a plan to eventually build replacement reservoirs, but we need to keep those obviously going while we build the new ones, so there's not a lot of space that we could borrow. Beg or steal from. So the anticipated cost, after looking at 13 fire stations in the regional area that have recently been built or are currently being built, the average hard costs were between 850 to 900 square feet. And we added soft costs that figured them at 30%. And then the escalation, because we wouldn't be building until 2027, was 3 to 5% per year, and we just added the 5 to be conservative. So with that, the grand total, and this is very, very tentative. We don't even have site plans. This is just based on our assessment of what the square footage would be. But it's 17 to 18 million. And with the general obligation bonds, now, I'm just learning this also, for the first time, so we figured the millage rate, 16 cents per $1,000 assessed value. So the average LO home assessed value was 600,000, and for that house, it would be about $100 a year. And the city evaluating it to a 10-year term, although I don't think council was up for that. So probably looking at a 20-year.
So next steps is, the fire department has been tasked, with the city to put together, RFP for a architect design feasibility study, on these numbers, because there was the initiative that before they were to go out for a bond, we have to know how much it will cost. So we know that on the front end, and then they'll move forward with the bond process. After it goes and is reviewed with the city council. And even though there's been a lot of talk on timing, it won't be this year, and it may be early next or even next November, but we're hoping for May of next year, May 2026. And task force, and so that really concludes our presentation. And I now am willing to come back out and do more questions if anybody has them. So put up your hand, and this is what I'm going to do, and I'm going to throw it out. Do you mind joining Chief at front and just fielding questions with her?
Oh, sure.
Do you mind up here? And I'm gonna take this to the audience. Okay, ready? First question.
Chris Durkee
And I'm-
was the chair of our task force, so he drove the whole project.
And I'm gonna be running from the question to the answer. Okay, here we go.
What do you do in the interim while you're building a new fire station? How do you use your fire station when it's on the same property?
Very,
Good.
yeah.
Good question.
We'll take it.
Very good question. We're looking at options. We could either phase it, we could build it and keep the fire crew on scene and eventually get to switch to the new one. Or we could look for alternative sites that are still within the area that we could either rent or set up trailers. I've been through, it's not fun, but, we want to somehow stay within the area. We could contract with AMR, making sure that there are ambulances in the area. I'm working on this with the chief, so we're gonna try to figure out the plan.
Anybody else?
And
Okay, yeah. Hey, okay, what's it?
Yeah. The bond, okay, I hope that, I know a lot of times people don't look, they just check, okay, we'll do the bond, okay, check, do this bond. I hope that people will realize how many bonds they're signing for, because we just got one for this, down the street. So I just hope that there's a way that you all can enlighten people about, just sort of, I know $100 a year is bad, but if you have that, this whole thing and whatever, people need to know about it. So please keep everybody apprised.
Chris, do you want to comment?
Thanks, that's a really good point. From now until May next year, when the bond goes on the ballot, we have a very, very thorough, robust community engagement plan where we'll be talking to all kinds of groups, advisory boards, associations, clubs in town. We'll have a booth at the farmer's market in downtown so people can see and learn about the fire station. So there'll be all kinds of things going on. We've already, Chief Hartman and I have already presented several times to other neighborhood associations, and we have more coming up this week. Aiden, the student rep, he's a senior at Lake Oswego High. Everyone met him coming in. Aiden was on the task force, and Aiden and I are presenting to Westlake Neighborhood Association at their annual meeting next month. So we have a whole program laid out to do exactly that. Thank you.
Kelly?
I have the same question.
Oh.
We are in the perfect location.
Yeah. Anybody else? Okay, very good.
Have a forecasting done recently on household growth for each of the four stations. And I ask that because the area you serve, on a real estate company, the area you serve, you have more urban growth boundary right at the boundary that it seems that 212 serves than anywhere else in town. Every time that thing gets pushed out, that's denser housing. Seems to me that's more households that will all fall on. Well, I'm just wondering if that argument has been included with the desire that we all have to get the new station done. I don't see how the other three stations can have that household growth because they don't have the urban growth boundary. It surrounds all of us and the south border, it seems.
One of the alternate sites we looked at was on Stafford, just basically across the street from the Pioneer Cemetery. And it did help a little bit for the folks farther south along Stafford. But it actually was detrimental to the northern edge and the far western edge of the fire management area. So it was deemed infeasible. The location right now is really the best location. The committee decided no eminent domain. So pretty much anywhere else we're going to go would require acquisition of land. and eminent domain is not an option.
Lieutenant Langleter says just something to add.
Yeah, so you're talking about Stafford area, correct? Like that Stafford Hamlet or?
Yeah, just really anything in Child Road too, anything on the other side of that boundary, that. When Metro, every 3 to 4 years, they push that stuff around to various places all over Metro. Anything that gets pushed out there, that's gonna add households.
I think for us too, I think to his point, we're serving City of Lake Oswego. We have mutual aid agreements with Walton Valley and the fire department. So Walton Valley has a property on Stafford, down by the Buddhist temple, you know where that is? They're gonna build something there. They have a newer station, up off of, in Westland at the top of the hill. And so all these departments are somewhat looking towards the future, but those mutual aid agreements will get us all to those areas. Now, it might be at the edge of our district or that 8-minute time, but we're still gonna strive to make those times.
Fortunately, we have to wrap it up. Got some voting to do, right?
Oh, great, thank you.
Thank you so much. Big thank you. Next on the agenda is our your Palisades Neighborhood Association leadership team, which is made of the board members and committee coordinators. And if everybody on the leadership team could come up front for just a minute, so the group could, our audience can see that it takes a village. We're all volunteers. And today is my last day as chair. I loved every minute of it, 2 years, and I'm happy to pass it on to the next person, but I couldn't have done it without this wonderful crew. And there's a few that are not here tonight, but if we can give them a hand of applause. Yeah. And you'll hear in a minute, thank you, everybody. You'll hear in a minute what each of the committees is working on. A lot of it is on our website, but it's, and in our newsletters. And I just wanted to, let you know, there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that we do to advocate for you, with the city and with our growing, newsletter subscription rate. To get the news to all of you and your answers on our surveys, we're able to give the city quantitative data, which is important to them when it comes to an issue that affects us as a community, whether it's a park or a road or any other multitude of issues. So we've made a lot of growth and I'm proud of where we've gone and where we're going. And so thank you. I am going to turn it over to the first person who is me, because David Westerdahl, who is our new emergency preparedness coordinator, could not be here today, celebrating an anniversary overseas, imagine that. So I'm going to speak for just a minute about emergency preparedness, which you've heard me talk about this for 20 years. and Chief Artman really hit the nail on the head when she said we need to know our immediate neighbors and be prepared for ourselves. 3 days, 2 weeks would be even better. Food, water, shelter, tents, whatever. And it doesn't have to be overwhelming. We have all kinds of information to help you with that. PrepLO.org, I believe it's .org, is a fountain of information on how to get started, what to do, and also how to work with your immediate neighborhood. And so that is something that a lot of people amazingly don't take very seriously. So they said, oh, well, we weathered the ice storm, but that's nothing compared to a major earthquake or would not have any kind of services, roads will probably be impassable. So I'm hoping that in the next coming years, people will take this more seriously and we can do small neighborhood groups to organize a little bit better. In addition to emergency prep, the response and recovery is also very important. So it's not just what you do before, but what's happening during an event and what we do afterwards. So follow the newsletters and look at our website and help me organize some neighborhood groups. I'll be continuing on and in the capacity of supporting emergency prep. John Thies is our wonderful treasurer who, this is 2.5 years he's been our treasurer and he's gonna give us an update of what's happening for the Palisades.
Hello, everybody. This is pretty much the same information that I provided last month. Our current balance in our Home Street bank account is now up to $443.78. We've got several pending reimbursements out there for neighborhood meeting signs, web hosting fees, laminating sheets and the like. That's $253.98. So I still have to submit that. To be eligible for reimbursement, the expenses have to be incurred by June 30th, 2025. So the city has a $100 minimum for our submitting reimbursement requests. So while we've exceeded that amount, I'm leery about submitting it because I know we've got additional expenses coming up. I'm guessing we've got web posting fees, more yard signs. So we're probably going to exceed that again. So I'm waiting for that. So if anybody, you've got information about potential expenses that you think are going to be coming up the next month or two, please let me know so I can plan for this. So currently, P&A currently has 2 signatories for our Home Street bank account, the chair and the treasurer. So assuming the appointment of a new chair in April, there are several forms that we're going to have to be filled out by our new chair. I have all of these forms, so once the appointment has been finalized, I'll forward that presumably to you, Chris, to fill out. So P&A residents are encouraged to donate to our neighborhood association. So for information about projected expenses and how to donate, refer to the Get Involved, I Want to Donate page on the Palisades Neighborhood website. Any questions? Okay. Thank you.
I forgot 2 things. One, did anybody have any questions about the emergency prep response section? Seeing nobody here. We moved our schedule around a little bit so that Chief Artman can give a presentation. So I'd like Jenny to come up and as Secretary of the Month for our previous meeting minutes. Approval? Is that okay?
Sure. Do you approve the minutes from last month?
Yes.
Okay, a first, a second, a third, hooray. I'll pass it on.
And you have the,
Yes.
yes, okay. Just needed to make that official. And we're combining this with a board meeting, so thanks for your flexibility. Who's next here? Rob Heath, who has done an amazing job with the traffic, so take it away, Rob.
Thank you, Chair. So just wanted to say a few words about what's going on in the neighborhood, relative to, the, traffic and pathways. So, I think a lot of folks may be aware, but there's some major updates that are being done in terms of, pathways. So that, along Meadowlark and Treetop, is actually a major improvement, that's getting ramped up. Tonight, they actually had an open house. I don't know if anybody was able to attend, but they were providing information about what that plan looked like. So I think from a neighborhood perspective, it's pretty exciting to see this, these improvements, getting underway. So it's actually part of a 4-location, so you like this regular plan. There's 2 other locations, I think one over by the legal park, and there's one other location, I think near Carmen or in that area. But in Palisades, it involves a part of getting new sidewalks, getting new ADA curb ramps, improved crossings, and it also has some provisions for getting more lighting. So pretty excited about this, and think it's really going to address some of the safety concerns, especially the people that walk along those areas where there's a lot of parking and a lot of traffic. So happy to report on that. One thing that we always get asked about here is, hey, what's going on with the parking updates? The neighborhood engaged, what are we doing with respect to Lake Oswego School District and Lake Ridge High School elevated parking? So, I just want to say a few words on that, and something that the neighborhood association is continually engaging in, trying to make progress. So there are meetings that the neighborhood association attends, both between Lake Oswego School District as well as reaching out to the city of Lake Oswego and trying to look at long-term solutions that can address some of these concerns. And part of that will be addressed by the pedestrian improvements too that are being done along Meadow Lark. The other thing, just traffic updates. P&A has given a lot of feedback. We heard from the members of the neighborhood association that traffic is a major concern, and so we try to reach out to the city and provide those concerns and ask for some help to try to address them. So we have been seeing increased monitoring and traffic enforcement in the Palisades neighborhood, even on the weekend. So it's not necessarily just limited to the school hours, but I know this last weekend at the corner of Meadow Lark and Treetop, the Lake Oswego Police Department was there, monitoring, enforcing traffic code. And then the other big activity that's involving the neighborhood association is the city of Lake Oswego often tries to work with the Palisades Neighborhood Association on communicating impacts related to all the work that's going on. So the Stafford Road improvements, as well as the rec center, a lot of traffic delays and impacts. So we're trying to get that word out and let the neighborhood prepare for those, be aware of them, and try to mitigate them by maybe taking alternate routes or alternate times. And then in the back, there's actually links. There's a handout that has some links to the overall pedestrian pathways site for the city, so you can get a lot more information, as well as a link to Clackamas County that has a lot more detailed information about the Stafford Road improvements. So this is south of the Rosemont Circle, going down towards the Fulton River. So I think that was it. Any questions? Or anything?
Chris, you're monitoring the chat for questions.
Oh.
So the biggest thing that we have around land use is the Stafford project. Thank you. So if you go down Stafford to towards Rosemont Circle, you'll see on the C3 church off to the right. That is, they're working on a major plan to develop that. Currently, it's going to be up to about 53 units. It's going to be a combination of triplexes, duplexes, and some cottage clusters. I've included back there, there's a little, I think the things, it's still there, but there's cards that will take you to the Stafford project link, and that will give you a little bit more information. They're planning on going to the DRC in May. So if you have concerns about that, you should be seeing mailings about that, where you can either give your input to the developer or to the city when it comes before the DRC. Then so my job is as a land use rep, is for the pre-application meetings, I will represent the neighborhood association if we have any concerns, some of those can be trees, it can be traffic, they can be. We have one instance where, you know, people are building ADUs, and it's kind of nice to see a lot of this development going on in our neighborhood. So do you have any questions about the land use as it appears in the neighborhood association?
Nancy's sick. You wanna do it? I don't wanna do it.
Up to you.
I mean, I can do it.
Parks and Rec, no, I'm not Nancy.
Yeah.
No more about the third part.
Okay, so Nancy is, area rep 8. She is not feeling well, this evening, so we're jumping in and talking about. And I want to rely on Chris a little bit for this because, things that they've been working on in the past was a combined effort with Receipt Park, where they just got word this past year, bringing in, $2 million, matching grant that, the city will work on.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay.
The city, as many of you probably know, more or less abandoned the future phase of Receipt. They put the skate park in, but the picnic area and the playground area, which is what we all wanted, was cast off. Well, it turns out that our neighborhood association board collaborated with Parks and Rec and applied for $1 million state grant to pay for the playground area and the picnic area. And the city ponied up and matched that grant dollar for dollar. So between the city's funds and the state funds, we have $2 million. So that phase is now going ahead. If it hasn't broken ground, it will very shortly, and they hope to have it done by this summer. So thanks for bringing that up. I think it's a great example of how the neighborhood association and the city can work together on a common goal rather than butting heads, which is what we've been doing for a long time for the city.
In other things that Nancy does, similar to Meg, she does attend in Brock. They attend meetings on behalf of the neighborhood association and they report back to the board. And she's been very involved in the Parks and Rec plan for 2024 or 2040. And they have been surveying. So if you have not taken a survey for Parks and Rec about the vision of the park, please do so. And they are going to be presenting that to the city council, I think at the end of April. I only know this because I wrote it in the newsletter. And then if you want to click forward, these are just the parks that we have, of course, in our neighborhood that we all enjoy. And I do believe that at the end of April will be the opening of LORAC. And that's also in our newsletter and on our website. So any questions that Chris or Frederick can answer? Okay, great. Next. Me. Okay, so I'm Carrie Love. I came in last year at this time and took C5 on the board. And at that time, Frederick had been working with Kiki and Joe and redoing our website, and it was a major project. And so I came in to have it done, so I benefited from that. And my job was to take the newsletter and make it married with the website, and then start working on the website, getting the content on that site that's relative to the neighborhood. So this year, Frederick and I, and other board members, Rob does great traffic updates. They do land use updates. We make a huge effort to write posts on our site, share them in our newsletter. The newsletter comes out once a month, right before our board meeting. So it comes out the Sunday before our Thursday board meeting. We kind of like, and then you may get an extra one announcing like for tonight, a reminder for tonight and to vote. But we are really working on writing things that are interesting in the neighborhood for neighbors. So if you come across something that you want featured, I also write the pets of the month. And I'm running out of like funny like themes for my pets of the month. So somebody please give me a parrot to write about because I'm done writing about dogs. But if anybody has a pet or if anybody knows of anybody in a pet that wants to feature in the pet of the month, I'm happy to write and highlight them. But again, we are trying to get better and we're trying to really write about things that you guys want to hear. So we're open to suggestions, yeah, so that is the website and newsletter. Anybody have any questions? Okay, do you like it? Okay, good. I worry about it, so tell me if you're gonna sign, do a good job. Okay, yard signs.
Hello, good to be with all of you. Is this close enough? My name's Elisa Williams and I'm a newbie on the board. I went to the neighborhood night out party, had a fabulous time, didn't want to leave. I'm like, how do I keep the fun going, the energy going? And these cool kids said, why don't you join the board? So I did. So I am just a very, very small part of Carrie's big world and getting the news out. And we know that when you're communicate about things, you need to go to where people are. They need to see the message where they are. So we do lots of things that Carrie does, and then we also do the yard signs. And we want to keep them really visible. We put them in people's yards at key intersections and parks, and that's to keep you informed about what the events are, how to get connected to the newsletter, and it just supplements and helps people stay connected. The signs also connect you back to the website, the newsletter, so everyone has their own way of getting updated and staying in touch. And I will turn it over to Jenny.
Hi, I'm Jenny Cherry Tree. I'm an Area 4 rep, and I just have a quick school update for everyone. And if you've been reading the news, our school district is going through budget cuts, and yesterday we announced about 91 staff teachers will be cut. And it impacts elementary, middle, and high school, and they're also making other major reductions. So as you know, all of Oregon is facing really tough times with education. They just asked every parent and family member if they could donate $500. So if you are able to do that and want to help out the schools in any way possible, every little bit counts. The next thing that is coming up in November is the capital bond, and it won't increase taxes. This is the third and final bond in this series to help get all our schools up to be earthquake resilient. We have two really old schools in the neighborhood, Forest Hills and Lake Grove, which will just collapse if we have an earthquake. And so we're just going to bring them up to standards. And in this capital bond, every school will benefit. Will be new improvements at the schools. One thing maybe you don't know about is that our elementary schools, except for our newest one, we don't have cafeterias. Kids eat in the classroom. So one of those things for health and hygiene is to make sure there's space for kids to eat in a cafeteria and also exercise. We also, it's interesting because some of the budget cuts include cutting exercise, going down to 1 day a week for PE. So another reason we all, the next ask is not only support this final capital bond, because it helps in so many ways, but if you have time, please write the governor, please write your local elected officials and say, let's invest in education. Let's hold everybody accountable for these investments, but let's not forget the next generation forward. So that's it. If you have questions, the Lake Oswego School District website has a very detailed question and answers. And if you have other questions, you can speak to the school district. They're very open to answering questions about what's happening.
Again, I'm not Nancy and I'm not David, but I'm gonna go over events for everybody. We just kind of wanted to summarize the events that we do as an organization. Board meetings, second Thursday of most months, so we may not do it in December. But most months, and they're posted on our website, you can join via Zoom, or we're gonna start pulling back the in-person meetings slowly. So please look at the website and see how you can register, and if we're meeting in person or there's a Zoom option. You're here, the general meeting, thank you for coming. This is important this time of year because it does align with our annual election, so thank you for voting. There's a ballot box back there with ballots. If you have not voted, know your area, we have maps. In Frederick, and Rick, who's not here, did work with the fire district, fire department to put up together the Saturday trainings that we've been hosting down at the South Shore Fire Department. Thank you so much for doing that. And it's been like 15 to 25 people showing up every time. So it is flexible. Like we did have one in May, but they had to reschedule it because the LO late run and they just didn't have the staff to do it. So look at the website. We're keeping that update with the schedule. And then something that we started to work together with the city last year, Frederick, with the National Night Out. It is the first Tuesday of every August. So that's what, it's a national event. You're encouraged to go outside, meet your neighbors, the fire staff or the fire department and the police department make the rounds. And I think Frederick was actually painting little kids' faces last year. So people do a lot of different things in different areas. So look for that. We're gonna be active again this year promoting that because it's a good way for you to get out and meet your neighbors. Any questions? Next.
Hi guys and girls, good to see you all. So I don't have a hat, but if I had one, it would be in my hand to ask for volunteers. So if you want to be part of this club of the cool kids, you can just see it. It's very exclusive, but we will allow anybody in. Yeah, just, if you've got an hour or two to spare, the ad says that's what we need and that's what we'll take. But the pinky in the hand thing, hey, you give a little, we'll just take whatever you have. But really, so it's really nice to be part of this, and I will tell you now that we've got a few openings. But if you're interested in social media, emergency prep, sustainability, or community events, go to our website, and there you'll see that you just click through to volunteers, and we've got a 2 to 3 day. They say 2 to 4, but I know it's quick. These guys don't play around. It's a turnaround time, and they will get back to you if you want to volunteer. So yeah, we need you, and that will always be good to see some new faces. And there's always people that move out of the area. And so if you go to our website and there's something that does not interest you, go there in any case and see if we can't guilt you into doing anything there. But please do that, and we will welcome you with open arms. Thank you.
Okay, well, there are a few board positions open, and the list is there, areas 6, 7, 10, and 13. And I think, is 7 in the process?
Yeah.
So 7 may be full, which is great, but 6, 10, and 13, and you can see on the map, if you live in those areas, join this team. We're gonna have a blast next year. Got a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of ways that you can plug in and spend as little or as much time and effort as you want to.
So the elections are still going on for board members and for chair. If you don't see a name on the ballot that you want to vote for, you can write them in. We're accepting the paper ballots until we leave tonight, which is very shortly. But the online voting is going to be available until midnight on our website. We do accept applications year round, so if you go on our website, you'll see the menus that the declaration of candidacy. So we have elections every April, and yeah, we'd love to get more input for more people. And are there any candidates here who would like to say something? Maybe you were a write-in, or you want to say something? You're raising your hand.
New business, I want to talk new business at some point, but.
Okay. All right, hold on a second. Did somebody else raise their hand? No, if I could saw something.
Frederick, maybe should I say a few words?
Sure. Chris Durkee is running for chair.
I probably should say a little bit about what my what my platform is. I want to continue the momentum that Frederick and Carrie and the amazing team has put forth in the last couple of years. Just that this neighborhood association is so amazing. So I want to continue that. I would like to see our newsletter subscriber list exceed 1,000. We're almost there. I would like to get that over 1,000. I want the city to see Palisades Neighborhood Association as a critical group to interface with when they want to get things done in this area. I want city council members to see Palisades Neighborhood Association as a must-win for them to win an election. We represent 1/10 of the city. 10% of Lake Oswego lives in Palisades. So I want to increase our visibility to the city. I'm also really committed to this fire station. I'm all in on this fire station. I mean, it's our fire station. This is a critical asset for our community. So I'm going to be very active in that also. And I see the two of those kind of going hand in hand. They're not mutually exclusive. And the emergency prep that Frederick is taking on with Andrew, tremendous. That's a really, really important thing. We've been through ice storms and everything else. You know, we've got a lot of information on the website on generators, but that kind of thing is going to continue going on. And then I think probably the last, as Chuck said, I want to see those board positions filled and have our leadership team completely fleshed out. And I want to do all that and have fun at the same time.
No more. But we have new business,
Okay, before I forget, and then I'll get to you. When I talked about volunteers, there's a number of you in the audience who have volunteered not in an unofficial capacity and have done everything from proofreading to coming up with content, and I just want to let you know how much that is appreciated.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. You guys really have been a terrific board, and thank you, Frederick, my uphill neighbor, for your service. So my two issues, deer and gas powered leaf blowers. Anyone else care about that stuff? Anyone, seriously, you guys don't care about the deer? Eating stuff, okay. They're eating expensive, landscaping, not mine necessarily, but other people's. They're also in the street when we, pull in at night, not just one, not just two, but families on it. So I think it's a safety issue. I think people are gonna hit deer, they're gonna, damage their car or their property. Number one. Number two, anyone work at home during the day? Anyone? So what do you hear all day long, Mike?
Yeah, it's annoying.
So anybody have any, legal remedies for either of those things? We can, is this a PNA topic? By the way, guys.
It could be.
Is this something we should be addressing in
Yeah, it
PNA?
could be, sure,
yeah,
Okay,
sure.
an update on the city with the blowers. So, at my first budgetary committee meeting, Martha, our city manager, presented that they are following Portland's ban very closely. And they're communicating with, the city as they roll that out. And they're waiting to, they're waiting to see the outcome and, how they enforce, the ban and how, the city reacts to it. And then they are gonna be sharing information with Lake Oswego to take similar steps. So they're in a wait and see right now, but they're actively watching and engaging with the city of Portland. So I know about that. I don't know about here.
so on the leaf blower, my thought is, rather than inconvenience or potentially, put some of these landscape providers at a financial disadvantage, we can collectively buy electric leaf blowers and have them in a central location for those folks and our neighborhood people to use. So shared resources that don't go Right, quiet. This guy, you like my sound effects, not so much? Okay. And then about the deer, what can we, I mean, do we have fish and wildlife game people that are looking into this?
I haven't heard
It hasn't been brought up.
Oh, so we have another person.
I mean, there were 4 or 5.
Yeah.
Oh,
in the driveway.
there's more than that, yeah, I mean, the fabulous 5 turned into the fabulous 12.
Well, I'd like to address the deer. I live on Westview Drive, in South Shore, so I agree, they get cut all the time. People don't stop at a 3-way stop. Slow down. Tell your neighbors to slow down. I've been telling people to slow down for 17 years, as long as I've lived here. You know what, we've got raccoons, we've got coyotes, we've got kids on skateboards, we've got pedestrians. It's not just the deer. Look, slow down, you might hit a kid. You know, again, I see people not obeying the traffic. Speed, the lights, the signs. Let's just slow down. If we live in a beautiful neighborhood, people, wildlife can learn to live in balance together, is what I've got to say. I love the deer, but yes, I slow down. I look for them. I look to each side of the road. I don't just look ahead. I'm not gonna look at my phone. I'm in my yard all the time and I see people not looking at the road. They're looking down, they're looking at their GPS or whatever. But again, we live in a beautiful city of Lake Oswego. We have a lake. We have beautiful wild neighbors, birds, again, squirrels, everything. Let's learn to live together. But again, we need to care. I agree with you about flows. But again, the deer are not the enemy. We do not need to call fish, game, and wildlife and have them shot or moved. So that's all I got to say.
Well, all over the state.
Oh,
I
I appreciate your 2 points. I agree about the deer. I have a lot of deer in my yard. They're annoying. They eat my plants and my flowers when I least expect it. I don't appreciate it. Squirrels eat my stuff. The raccoons come in and eat my stuff. We do have to learn to live with them. My husband and I work with the city to put a sign up on South Shore about the deer crossing. If you feel like there's a problem in your street, they will help you with that. They will put a sign up. And I agree, we need to all slow down and pay attention. They won't, if you did, for example, get wildlife to come in and move them out, all you're going to do is make it more attractive for other deer to move in. You're not gonna, we need to learn to live with them. So, the gas blowers, yeah, I wish we could do something about it.
I'm gonna bring more wolves. I'm gonna bring the wolves into the neighborhood. So balance that nature thing out.
You talked about that.
More predators.
But please don't shoot you here.
Okay, any other questions or comments?
Wait, Jenny,
Oh,
Question about it? Just one very helpful sense of here. We can't hear you. Oh, sorry, I'm going to put it. And so I have this class in my yard that we hear a lot. And I pretty much very well. So when we bring you out knowing what you're doing in the food, and I was what is it called again? Liquid dance. You have it in mind.
Thank you.
It's full on with the plan.
Thank you. Okay.
Could you repeat what Bonnie said? I couldn't hear.
There is a solution to put down to repel deer, in a brand that she mentioned, but I don't remember.
liquid fence.
Liquid fence, thank you, liquid fence. So, any more comments?
Oh.
So just quickly, we need to have classes for these deer to learn to how to read. Otherwise, how would they know where to cross?
Oh, you got the ball.
And start using the water.
Well, we found out.
Sounds like Patsy Plaza saying once the sign went up, the tear didn't cross there anymore. Okay, are there any other comments, or questions before we end the meeting tonight? Thank you, everyone.